President Adama Barrow is pleased to declare Monday, December 27, 2021 and Monday, January 3, 2022 as public holidays throughout the Gambia in observance of the Christian Holy Feast of Christmas and New Year's Day 2022. President Adama Barrow has appointed Professor Herbert Robinson as the new Vice-Chancellor of the University of the Gambia. A recent car accident which claimed the lives of 4 people in Kotu was due to speeding, according to the PRO of the Gambia Police Force. The Ministry of Health with partners on Wednesday held a validation forum for the National Health Sector Policy 2021 to 2030. And the Directorate of Health Promotion and Education under the Ministry of Health on Wednesday briefed the press on plans for the enforcement of tobacco control laws and regulations in the Gambia. And Monday, January 3rd, 2022 as public holidays throughout the Gambia. The holidays are in observance of the Christian Holy Feast of Christmas and New Year's Day 2022. President Barrow takes this opportunity on behalf of the First Family and the government to wish the Christian community and all Gambians a Merry Christmas and a happy and prosperous New Year.
Prior to his appointment, Professor Robinson was Director of Knowledge, Research and Learning at the African Capacity Building Foundation, ACBF, a specialized agency of the African Union based in Harare, Zimbabwe. He has had over 20 years' experience in various positions in academia, the United Nations and in international consulting. Professor Herbert Robinson was born in Banjul and attended St. Augustine's High School and Cambia High School, where he completed his secondary education in 1985. Thereafter, he worked at the Medical Research Council before leaving for the University of Reading in the United Kingdom for his undergraduate degree in Quantity Surveying, Construction Economics. In 1995, he got a Master of Infrastructure Planning degree from the University of Stuttgart in Germany, and followed with a PhD in Infrastructure Economics from South Bank University in 2001 in the United Kingdom. Professor Pierre Gomez has been serving as the Acting Vice-Chancellor since September this year, having taken over from Professor Fakir Mohamed Anjum, who had served in the position since 2016. Professor Herbert Robinson's appointment will come into effect in January 2022. For QTV News, I am Mamadou Mbodj.
There is a perception that road traffic accidents increase in numbers during this time of the year. The latest accidents, which have been widely commented on, especially on social media, was one along the Bath and Haydn Highway, which claimed the lives of 4 people, and another along the Fonyi-Kiang Highway, which claimed the lives of at least 2 people. The police and other stakeholders continue to sensitize the public, particularly road users, on safety measures, but the situation shows no signs of improvement. As we are again in December, a time of increased traffic accidents, Lamin PRO of the Gambia Police Force advises the public to play their part in the way we use roads.
Most of the accident investigations that we do, what stands out often is the issue about speeding. And this is why the Gambia Police Force has been robustly sensitizing the general public, especially the driver population, to always adhere to speed limits, especially at residential areas. The other thing that we do most often is also to increase police presence on the road. Of course, sometimes this is definitely something certain people will argue against, but it is important also for people to know. At certain areas of the highway, when you find police officers there, the important reason why they are there is for them to serve as observers of drivers speeding especially.
Njai went further to give details of the accident last weekend at Kotu, in which a private vehicle collided with a taxi.
Accident definitely is very concerning to the police, and this is why that accident you're talking about too, we have opened an investigation into the accident. What we know so far is the fact that 4 people have died out of the accident. On the very day of the accident, 3 persons were reported to have died, and then later on, as investigations proceed, another report of a person also that died later at the hospital also came in. But what we have been able to establish also boils down to the issue of speeding. We know there is a private vehicle and a commercial taxi, and the private vehicle was speeding, trying to overtake vehicles in front of him, and then he collided head-to-head with the taxi, and this collision eventually was very devastating, and it resulted to the death of these individuals.
PRO Lamin Jai concluded by urging the public to exercise discipline on the roads and adhere to traffic rules. In a separate update, PRO Lamin Jai narrated to us an incident in Lamin Babylon where a 10-year-old boy shot a 12-year-old girl with a hunting rifle.
In this situation, what we understand from the preliminary investigations is such that an old man of 73 years, a hunter for that matter, was the person that went on hunting, and when he came back from the hunting, he definitely went to this place to do some business transaction, and eventually he left his hunting gun aside his motorbike unattended to. And so while he was on his transaction, a 10-year-old boy took the gun and was fiddling with it, and then eventually, perhaps accidentally also, this gun fired, and then it also hit a 12-year-old girl who died out of this tragic. It's tragic indeed, but then this is what really happened.
Babu Karsi, QTV News.
The National Health Policy was in line with the Vision 2020 and Millennium Development Goals, which expired last year, with the latter replaced by the Sustainable Development Goals. Meanwhile, this National Health Sector Policy is expected to reform the health system by addressing the major traditional problems of health, the new challenges, and strengthening the health sector. Here is the Health Minister to tell us more.
I have the strong conviction that the implementation of these policy measures will certainly impact on reducing morbidity and mortality from major diseases, promote a healthy lifestyle, and reduce health risks and exposures associated with negative environmental consequences such as climate change.
Mohamedou Lamin Jaite, Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Health, thanked partners and hopes that the goal of the meeting is achieved. Jibril Jaju, Director of Planning and Information at the Ministry of Health, says people from the grassroots level were consulted across the country for their views on what they envisage for the health sector.
A draft was developed and also shared, in and out of the country, for us to actually look at the draft, which was chapter 1 and 2. We received comments, and the comments were also incorporated, and we went straight away for the drafting of the remaining chapter.
Dr. Melvin George, a consultant, gives the objectives and expected outcome of the health sector policy and expresses optimism that the objective of the National Health Sector Policy will be achieved.
But first of all, whatever resources we have need to be managed judiciously within the sector. Okay? We need to coordinate those resources to make sure there is no wastage, no duplication of efforts. Okay? That is very, very, very keen. Next is the attitudes. We need to look at our attitudes, that we make sure that the jobs we have to do, we do it well. We commit ourselves with passion so that, we really make sure that we put in the efforts we should put in and, challenge ourselves to say we are doing this not for ourselves, but particularly to try and ensure we have a good health services for the people who are less fortunate than us.
Sam Wills, a representative from the World Bank Tax Team Leader, TTL, who spoke via Zoom, has this to say.
There are several other activities that the ministry has initiated which will contribute to the smooth rollout of the new health policy. After this validation workshop, we hope a strategic plan would also be adopted shortly. We look forward to 2022 with hope and enthusiasm for universal health coverage, for quality health care for all in the Gambia.
Makawasi, representing Dr. Desta Tirune, says it is a significant move to strengthen the health sector in curbing future pandemics, drawing on lessons learned from COVID-19. The updated and implemented policy will provide an incentive and new direction for health sector development that will serve as the driving force for driving our health sector priorities and planning, as well as guiding resource allocation processes over the next few years. Achibintu Drame, QTV News.
Go away.
Looking for the fastest and easiest way to receive money transfers from abroad? Well, QMoney and RIA just made it happen. Now you can receive international money transfer from RIA directly into your QMoney account with no additional cost. Once you receive an SMS alert about your transfer, walk into any QMoney agent across the country to receive your payment for free, or use the money immediately to buy credit, QPower, and other QMoney services. It's fast, safe, and convenient. For more info, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sunu Calpe. Terms and conditions apply.
The forum is part of a series of activities by the Directorate of Health Promotion and Education to engage stakeholders in enforcing tobacco control laws. Smoking in public places has been banned since 2016, as has advertisement, promotion and sponsorship of all tobacco products and selling single-stick cigarettes, among others. Senabu Bara Cham, Program Officer at the Non-Communicable Disease Unit of the Directorate of Health Promotion and Education, says the prevalence of non-communicable diseases is on the rise and that tobacco use is among the contributory factors of these diseases.
When I talk about non-communicable diseases, we are referring to the cardiovascular diseases like the hypertension, the stroke, we're referring to diabetes, we are referring to respiratory diseases like asthma, cancers like either breast cancer, lung cancer, and the like. But when we see these non-communicable diseases, they are on a rise, and they have risk factors. And when you look at the risk factors, tobacco is one of our risk factors, and tobacco is a risk factor to all of these non-communicable diseases. But when it comes to tobacco, we have first-hand smoking, we have second-hand smoking, and we have third-hand smoking. It does not only harm the person taking it, but it also harms the people around it. That is why we are so keen when it comes to tobacco control.
She reveals further that text and picture advertising health warnings must appear on all tobacco products, packaging, or labeling, and that all products must conform to the regulations.
Graphic health warning. It was not only health warning. Usually in the pack, you usually saw tobacco harms you and harms people around you. But now we're saying tobacco is harmful to children with the photo of the child. I know a lot of people will be like, but why is the child? Why is it not a person with a lung that has a black spot or under that? But as we said, tobacco does not only harm you, but harm people around you. And there is no known evidence of tobacco being useful. All we know is it's harmful. And we know one puff of cigarette, actually the contents that are being released are up to about 7,000 chemicals. And out of these 7,000 chemicals, research have shown that 70 of these are carcinogens. That is, they cause cancer.
Senabu Bara Cham says the act does not totally prohibit smoking, but applies to smoking in public places, including offices, schools, bars and restaurants, inside cars, marketplaces, healthcare facilities, and the ban extends to the use of shisha, among others.
And when you're looking at shisha now, it is on an increase, and it's the youthful age that usually use it, especially women. And research is actually showing that 1 hour of shisha session is actually equivalent to 100 sticks of cigarette. And it's not as if it does not contain tobacco. It actually contains tobacco, and there is no, I know the tobacco industry actually use subtle ways to actually push tobacco toward us, because it has a very nice scent, and there is a water pipe, and they will tell you this does not contain or it does not affect. No, it's more dangerous than the cigarette smoking.
The Ministry of Health has conducted TV and radio discussions on tobacco laws, advocacy meetings with relevant stakeholders like the Gambia Tourism Board, tobacco importers, and heads of schools, among others. The Ministry of Health urges the public to adhere to tobacco regulations. For QTV News, I am Abibatu Sise.
Most fire outbreaks reportedly occur during the dry season, which in this country generally begins in October and ends around mid-June. As this year's Harmattan season has begun, many people are concerned about the attendant bush fires associated with it and the possible threat to life and property. Pate Jiba, PRO of the Fire and Rescue Services, gives advice on how to avoid fire incidents.
The chances of seeing fire burning is too high. What should we do at the moment is to get ourselves ready and not to start fires. How do we do that? Is making sure we become watchdogs of our own environment. And lack of monitoring our children sometimes contributes towards our bushes being burned down. Our parents, I'm urging every parent to definitely monitor what their children will carry with themselves, especially when they go out there into the bushes to search for things. You know, this is the comfortable time for the children to do all those kind of things. And some other adults will be smoking around, you know, and indiscriminately throw the left out of the cigarette, and that will also start fire. So this is just a responsibility we all must take, because our environment is ourselves. You know, we have that relationship with it, so it is our responsibility to protect it.
Pate further stated that his institution, despite its many challenges, is ready to protect lives and property.
But of recent, I would definitely want to take it back to society. There were times or periods I used to say the challenge faced by a fire service is the issue of traffic disturbances, number one, late calls. That is, people that want to be assisted do not call at the right time, you know, and giving wrong addresses. I can even put it still, refer it still to be our challenge, but let's collectively look at it to become a societal problem. Because when the fireman is not called at the right time, of course he will be bullied, he'll be stoned, he'll be criticized and stuff like that, but who end up having the problem is the caller. So it is a problem that all of us, a challenge that all of us must tackle together.
The PRO advised that installing the right fire extinguishers in our homes, offices and other buildings is essential. He further urged the public to acquire the habit of maintenance, which helps minimize the risk of fire outbreaks. Caution and responsible behavior, he said, are paramount in tackling this challenge. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
The National Roads Authority has installed traffic lights at various locations within the Greater Banjul. The public have long complained about the inefficiency, malfunctioning and non-operation of these lights. Momodu Senghor, the Director General of the National Roads Authority, tells us about the traffic lights along the Baton-Hayden Highway.
This is in good shape. The only time it will be out is when, of course, there is no electricity. But otherwise, it's functional. Sometimes stopping it is deliberate. You see, we still have police, traffic police manning the junction. The reason being, during peak hours, if you go now, it's fine. Traffic is flowing freely. But then come 4 o'clock and beyond, the volume coming from Banjul, the Sting Corner, and going through Battle Hard into the turntable becomes so heavy. And as a result, it's deliberate. They stop it or allow, the police to man the area to give more priority to, of course, traffic from that direction as opposed to the others. So that is normally the essence. But the status of the traffic light is perfect and it's functional.
DG Senghor acknowledges that some of the traffic lights breakdown are due to either vehicles knocking them down or a lack of maintenance.
The one at the Jabang Johnson, that one, to be honest, had some problems. And we were about to, of course, to fix it. But then we have this, Battle Harding project, the construction of the Battle Harding highway coming, which would change the whole setting. So wasting money into something that we all know would definitely go would not make sense. This is why we've, of course, collaborated again with the police, the mobile police. They have a station there to man traffic in this area until such a time when construction reaches that area, because the whole configuration is going to change. That traffic light there would go. I think we are intending to come up with a very big roundabout. In fact, we want to resort more to physical roundabouts now as opposed to traffic lights.
Anthony Keita, a senior operations and safety manager at the National Roads Authority, says his office is doing a lot to make our roads safer. However, human behavior, he says, is making their work difficult.
Well, as you are aware that most of these roads are within the urban settlements, and these are the areas where we are facing most congestions. When these roads are completed, we rest assured that all these congestions we are facing within the urban area will be solved. We just urge them, especially the drivers, to take heed to the signs on the roads. Whenever they're driving, wherever you have a speed limit sign, they should at least heed to the signs.
After touring a few traffic lights, we realized that all the traffic lights rely on electricity to function. Therefore, the traffic lights go off when there is power failure. To address this problem, the National Roads Authority is looking forward to solar traffic lights being installed as part of the projects for next year's OIC Summit. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
President Adama Barrow is pleased to declare Monday, December 27, 2021 and Monday, January 3, 2022 as public holidays throughout the Gambia in observance of the Christian Holy Feast of Christmas and New Year's Day 2022. President Adama Barrow has appointed Professor Herbert Robinson as the new Vice-Chancellor of the University of the Gambia. A recent car accident which claimed the lives of 4 people in Kotu was due to speeding, according to the PRO of the Gambia Police Force. The Ministry of Health with partners on Wednesday held a validation forum for the National Health Sector Policy 2021 to 2030, and the Directorate of Health Promotion and Education under the Ministry of Health on Wednesday briefed the press on plans for the enforcement of tobacco control laws and regulations in the Gambia.